He said, "Up, you mighty race." And he asked, "Where are your schools?" Brother Jibril said, "Wait a minute." He stood up and he said, "Here's one right here."
Yes, sir.
Located at Parkway in Lauderdale, Wallace Garvey Institute, keyword Learning Center. Parkway in Lauderdale. Call to go by and see Brother Jibril Shabazz, 901-643-6271. And while I'm at it, I want to say something about Miss Desi X, located at 975 Thomas Street, 901-277-5917. The House of Knowledge, pre-class, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, first, second, and third grade level. She says this is the level that her students operate from. Those levels, the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds at the first, second, and third grade level. Also in the studio, as usual, the brother, Dr. Talut, El-Amin.
All right.
Go to his blog. He's written a book out. Written a book as well. Check him out. He will call it like he sees it. Brother Jibril Shabazz. Now we're going to be talking to Brother Jibril today, and Brother Talut as well. And he's going to be talking about education, what he does at the Wallace Garvey Institute. And brother, I want to ask you, what is your motivation? What's your, Brother Jibril, your inspiration for taking on this task? You know, one time you told me this work that I do here, brother, you're not going to get wealthy doing this work. You remember telling me that?
Yes, sir.
So what is your, tell us what your
I want to see how people liberated.
Okay.
First of all, and that's what drives me. That's my motivating factor involved in what I do and my loyalty to the so-called movement, so to speak. You know, I want to see us liberated. Now, you know, understanding that freedom takes place between the ears. When you declare yourself free, then you are free. But there's another component to that freedom, and that's to be liberated, especially here in the Western world. If we can liberate ourselves in the Western world, you know, I feel like, you know, that hurdle, that's the main hurdle, you know, is to be liberated.
Okay.
You know, then we can bring about, you know, the kind of changes that's necessary for myself and my people and the children. You know, in other words, we can guarantee the children a future.
Okay.
But, you know, we're so fragmented. You know, Dr. Richmond, you know, I was listening to him earlier.
Yeah.
He said so many things that's pertinent to what I'm talking about,
Yes.
what I'm thinking of, you know, because I've always supported Dr. Richmond.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to support him, you know,
Yes.
because I know his message. You know, I just hate that the paper's not out like it used to be, you know, because I enjoy reading, you know, can't think of the name of it right now.
The African American Voice.
African American Voice.
Yeah. He last week he gave Talut and I guess he's getting back into it because he gave us a copy of some things last week.
Well, good.
Dr. Richmond and I.
Good.
And Talut, you were saying something about Dr. Richmond's show and our show and the narrative and the similarities. Can you piggyback off what Brother Jibril said and give us
first and
a couple of
foremost,
minutes?
First and foremost, education as we know it has failed the African American people, or Black Americans. Okay, after so-called our freedom experiences, and we entered into all levels of education in huge numbers. But when you reflect or take a look at where we are today, as far as the purpose of education, which is a man being able to earn with his hands, we're not doing it.
Right.
What we're doing is taking up jobs, true enough, and not enough of those. But as far as taking one's hand and going into that kitchen or in that garage or wherever he's going, take raw material and build a product out of it, then sell it and market it, we're not doing that.
Okay.
So that's why the traditional education has failed us. But brothers and sisters like Brother Dr. Shabazz here, they have the solution. But will we listen? No. Okay? But if we don't listen, we're going to end up in the same condition 50 years from now.
Well,
Wondering.
I think we
Your
continue.
question,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I want to say something about the listening thing.
Oh, go
but
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm gonna wait on the question.
But I want you to finish what you were saying.
I'm done.
Okay, you're done. I think there are some who will listen, and we only need a few, just like the Marines, a few good men and women and children. Now, Brother Jibril, what he just said, Brother Talut, sounds like that's a part of your motivation as well. Sounds like you, the two of you, and certainly I do as well, agree on the failing of the public school system as in education. Can you just briefly expound on, give us a definition of education, what it's supposed to do?
Starting out in 1970, 1972, it was concerted effort on the dominant culture side to make sure that they dumbed down the process of education in the public school arena. That was by intent. For the last 35 to 40 years or so, the education process have come to what it is now. Turmoil, chaos. And the majority of the children that's in the public education system all over America are children that look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's by intent, to gather these children into a haven where they are teaching them information that's really obsolete. It's information that doesn't do black children any good, because it's antiquated, it's out of date, it's nothing dealing with who they are. In our institution, we teach children to know who they are, who their ancestors were, and how to go about locking themselves into the spiritual connection with their ancestry. That's why when we have programs, we teach the children to do libations. We teach children to love thyself. We teach children to know thyself. We teach children all the affirmation that they need to know in order to reconnect them on a daily basis to the people gone before them, such as Wallace Garvey, Malcolm X, El-Amin, or Elijah Muhammad, or we can go with Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman. In our libation, we call on these ancestors to come and be with us in the moment, in the presence, so we can experience, the strength of that ancestry, so we can, so the children can find strength in themselves to study mathematics, to study the common languages of the world, to understand what is asked of them to participate in worldly affairs. Because we just don't teach them to be citizens of America. We teach them to be citizens of the world. Okay. Therefore, that's broadened their perspective, it's broadened their horizon, where they look forward for doing extraordinary things. Because we just can't pin ourselves to, because the planet is more than just the Western world. So when our children are educated to that extent, and they understand that, then they do better because they know better. No doubt in my mind. How it work?
Yeah. And the thing about it all is this: we have to get out of our minds that education is articulation, or how well one uses the language, the King's language. Okay, but education is production.
Sure.
It's hands-on production. It's commerce. We speak the same language across the United States of America because of commerce. It's easy to walk into a car lot in New York, order a car, and walk to the West Coast in LA and order a car in one language.
Sure.
Okay? And the problem in the other parts of the world, there's a multiple languages. Okay? And commerce tends to slow down. But in America, commerce is fluid because we speak one language, okay? But when it comes to education, we drop the ball because we're non-productive. If we control one industry in America, just one, take for instance the shoestring industry. If we just manufacture shoestrings for everybody in America, that would solve our economic problem overnight. Okay? But we don't. We don't control any industry. We're very educated. In some cases, my mother used to tell me, son, do not become an educated fool. And I think we've all heard that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was in St. Louis at the grassroots convention That was right after the Media Man March. And we did a breakout, and I confronted Jim Evans concerning, the economic aspect of children uniforms in school. And in the session, we was talking about children uniforms, whether or not they should or should not wear them. And I'm all for uniform because it takes away a lot of that, envy and jealousy. But at the same time, I understand the economical benefit from the textile industry.
Absolutely.
So I laid on the table that, if we're going to allow our children, we're going to make the decision to accept children uniform, then we ought to have a piece of that market. If we got, if 60% of the children that's in public school system in America, then we ought to have 60% of that market. But
Absolutely.
I think my words are falling on deaf ears because we come out of that breakout, come out there, and nothing was said in the June convention so far as get marching orders to go forward. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that, what inhibits us is that we don't carry out certain kinds of detailed agendas that we could profit from. And these we're so fragmented in our own little cubbyhole, you know what I'm saying?
Never have.
And we're gonna have to break away from it. We got to find some kind of way to break away from it so we can be on the same page, reading the same book.
Yeah, we will certainly take a look at that. Brother Talut, you said something about education and what it's supposed to do. Would you guys agree that the public educational system has, for the most part, we were talking about that, in fact, over at UMM the other day, had, especially African Americans, are bought into the idea of education, but education to conform, education to work, education to be trained, and or, if you will, indoctrinated, as opposed to business, entrepreneurship, freedom and independence.
What we have is we have two kinds of education. One is to brainwash the African American children into the white man's superiority. Okay, and that's in fact a brainwashing process. It takes 12 years before they can be indoctrinated on who the white man is. Okay, the power that he possesses and the rule that he has over our lives. That's one kind of education.
Okay.
The other kind of education is the kind you get standing around the stove, the kitchen stove with your mama.
Okay.
Okay, and being emboldened into that knowledge, what we used to call motherhood. We don't hear that word anymore. Where the mother actually teaches the child the proper way of life, the right way of life. Why it's important to get up early. Why it's important to do all these things to make men and women. We don't get that education anymore.
Okay.
So by and large, but the point is this: with that kind of education, that mother's education, the father's education, a real productive knowledge is passed down from one generation to another.
Sure.
And the importance of it, okay, and how to make a living at it.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Right.
But I want to say one other thing. I'm going to be done. I'm going to wrap it
Go
up.
ahead.
The narrative. See, our problem is black people in America. We don't have a narrative for what we are to do as a people. See, we fragment. I come up with something dynamic. You come up with something dynamic. Dr. Shabazz come up with something dynamic. And it's splendor and goes in different ways. We need to build a narrative that would last 100 years on what we should do in America to become independent and liberated.
Okay.
I worked close with Dr. Talut Muhammad when he was here in the lab, and Dr. Talut Muhammad, more or less, just what you just said, was aiming to one of his aim was to bring us together, some kind of summit.
Yes.
Black men, black women, and organizations here in Memphis. Let's get ourselves together, organize ourselves, come into a summit. From that summit, we deliberate on all our problems. And once we've got the problems on the table, and organize those problems into a sequence, then we can come out of that summit with a plan and an agenda. You know, I still believe in that. You know, because those things are going to be necessary for our salvation and our liberation. You know, not only that, you know, I see an education in the Western world dynamic as go to school, go to college, get you a degree, and get you a job.
Right.
Now, there's a difference between, for I'm concerned, a difference between education and knowledge. What we do at Marcus Garvey, we teach our children to be educated. We educate them in the curriculum of that we have designed over there. And we also give them knowledge and information that they're going to benefit from on a worldly scope, you know. Whereas that, you know, they don't feel victimized by the lack of knowledge. You know, they would have knowledge and information, because knowledge and information is what reigns supreme on planet Earth. It's not education, because every culture and every nation state in the world have an education system. You know, America have an education system, but it doesn't benefit black people. You know, so that's a difference.
Well, let me ask you about home economics. Do you recall, either one of you, when I was going to school,
Certainly.
home economics was taught. Now, granted, when I look back, I sort of disagree with the direction that it went in, because it was geared, I remember it being geared more toward, and I guess there's nothing wrong with it, the females. But of course we had shop and drafting over here on this side, so I guess that was a balance. But in my mind, there's nothing wrong with knowing how to do a variety of things. And I'm not hearing much about home economics. Seems to me that as this thing evolves, certain things that have been effective have evolved out of the school system. So what is your take on home economics, especially relative to what you said, Talut?
That's
Go
by
ahead.
design, brother. I mean, you know,
So can you,
see, if the curriculum
are you
of
doing
the public
anything
school
with that
system,
at Garvey?
well,
Marcus Garvey?
we only go from the kindergarten to the 6th grade.
Okay.
But you know, in our information, we impart information to students in the 3rd and 4th grade that is able to comprehend. You know, Marcus Garvey came to this country, and he came here. The reason he came because of Booker T. Washington. Even though Booker T. Washington died a year before he got here. But that education curriculum at Tuskegee was very important to Marcus Garvey, because he had a vision behind that. You know, and we still should have a vision behind what Booker T. Washington did with. You know, but Booker T. Washington's name was put in the mud, and you know, a lot of things, Uncle Tom and all this whole crazy. I mean, I had some words then, but I just can't say I'm on open air. You know, but that's how people played. Anytime the black man seemed to be in a position to arise, somebody somewhere, something out of the ether comes in and try to put a damper on it. You know, and they've been successful for the last 500 years. But now, to me, it's over.
Okay.
You know,
Talut, could you expound on this whole, you were talking about, sound like you were about to get on to home economics and some other things.
Yeah, but the home economic thing, it was a great idea. But you have to remember, in the day that it was taught, families were together. A mother and a father was in a household. Okay, come the 1960s, when the welfare idea come along, and the requirements to get welfare was a man could not be in the house. Okay, but that money was pretty important back then, so a lot of mothers began to hide the husband's clothes and tell him he had to leave when the inspector came back. And eventually those homes broke up.
That's true.
Okay, so now today, the whole pattern of family life has changed. It's nothing like it was in that era. Okay, and what that brought about. Now you think about this. It was a splitting of the atom. See, when you split a man and a woman up, that's splitting an atom, right? So now you got a world where this man is out on his own, and instead of one couch, it got to be 2 couches now. Okay?
Yeah.
Instead of 1 car, it's got to be 2 cars. Okay, so that played out for the economy of America. When they split that atom, instead of 1, you got 2 worlds now.
Now that,
they have to spend.
but let me ask you this.
The capital is not the American capital system.
But when I look at other ethnic groups and their families, I hear you talk about the split. Let's take the Mexicans for instance. I see the two cars after a while, but initially it's one car. Then then it's one house.
Right.
Then seems like there's some togetherness, unity, planning. Then as things expand, we began to see the two cars.
Yes.
You see, in terms of the expansion of that whole concept of family. But let me return to Brother Jibril right quick. Hold your thought right there. Are there mostly mothers coming into your institution? Are there fathers involved, or it's mostly mothers?
Well, mostly mothers.
Okay.
When it comes to elementary education, a lot of times the mother have their hands on the child more so than the man.
Okay.
So that's kind of reflecting in who bring the child to school and who picks the child up. But there are men involved in most of all the children at our school in their lives. Men are involved in those children's lives.
Very good. So, and the young males, I think I have seen a few young males at your institution, but I think it's good. So, what is the dynamics? What are the dynamics in interacting with the young male students at the Garvey Institute?
I think that the young male understand that the Marcus Garvey Institute stands to keep him from being slaughtered in America. We stand before him to give him the kind of information and knowledge that it's going to take for him to be a rounded human being.
Okay.
So he can understand that, when he get up in the morning, just like Brother Jibril get up in the morning, I don't know if I'm going back home or not because of the wickedness in the Western world. I might catch a bullet somewhere, by intent or unintentional. Because black men we've been under the microscope for 500 years in the Western world. So we're being watched. A lot of things are happening to us that hadn't happened to nobody else. When you say that the Mexican, when you see them, the family more or less intact. Well, see, when we come here, we just naked. We didn't have up a chain, no clothes, man and woman. So we in the bowels of ships and, we didn't come in with nothing.
Right.
So when we got here, a lot of things was outlawed. The speaking drum, the talking drum, the language. If Brother Talut and myself would come in up to Mississippi, and the slave master saw us talking to each other, he'd send me to North Carolina and send Brother Talut stay in Mississippi. Because he can't have no communication.
Brother, we've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Talut, expound.
Yeah, what I was going to express is that when you speak about the Latinos and Africans, Koreans, Orientals, and others, as they migrate to America, which is very important. When they come with education. They come with knowledge and wisdom, thousands of years, and they know exactly how to root themselves into any civilization, any society. It doesn't matter. But we, thanks to the imaginary white man who dictates to us every day, 24/7, how we ought to do things and act and conduct ourselves and all that, and what we should be afraid of and not be afraid of. He controls our lives.
Let me ask you this.
We choose to not pay attention to those people when they come, but we need to learn from them.
Now, the imaginary white man, he's certainly not dictating the three honorable men here sitting at this table. He's dictating to those who you just pointed out choose not to pay attention, because it's clear that we are paying attention.
Well, yes, we are. But, he's been dictating so long until when we're at home and in our beds and at sleep at night, he creeps in. He creeps in our subconscious. See, it's deep. See, the imaginary white man is as deep as you can imagine in the soul and the mind and psyche of black people. We can't think without them. But see, some point in time, we're just going to have to just say, damn the imaginary white man. Damn him. We don't need him. We don't want him.
And what
condemn him and damn him.
We're almost out of time. should that point of time be right now and right here?
Right now and right here.
Okay.
In a moment.
And the reason why is we have a black president that's in one of the greatest struggles in American history. And winning.
Right.
Winning the war. See, a lot of people think the Civil War is over. The Civil War has been raging for a long time. It's more prevalent today than it is now.
Yeah, we're about out of time. Thank you for coming in, Brother Jibril.
Appreciate you, brother.
You'll be coming back?
Sure.
Brother Dr. Talut,
Thank you.
Yeah.
we talk about
brother.
something
So
every
good to see
day.
you, brother.
Want to hear more from you.
Sure thing, brother.
Yes, sir. Please come back.
Ain't no doubt.
We'll be talking about it.
Ain't no doubt, brother.
We'll put some plans together, build that institution
Sure.
up,
We have to.
address the necessary issues that we need to
finance.
address.
We definitely
We
finance.
need money.
Always
Can't
need
do
money.
anything
That's
without
without the
money
money.
and lots of
That's
money.
Economic
so true.
development.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.